Well, hello. Yet again, it is still Friday, and this is our third attempt at this live training where we will hopefully, for the last time, cover part 4 of our Take Action Challenge, where we are going to audit our online tools that we can use to synergize our marketing message and do it well and with intention. I don't know why I have had so many issues, but maybe it's because what I have to say is important, or maybe it is just because I am a technological disaster. But I am happy to be back with you yet again, and I hope the third time is indeed the charm. So, as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about how to take an audit of our online tools that we can use as marketers, as authors, as speakers, as communicators to make sure our message is the same online, in person, offline, organic, inorganic reach. It doesn't matter. We are presenting ourselves well, and we're choosing our next steps in a way that's informed and in a way that is effective. So I like to call this training what people see should match what you say. And I think this is a good perhaps way to look at many things in life, whether that is from an ethical standpoint or it's a marketing adage. It's something that we need to make sure that when people look at our message in any type of forum, that it is consistent and that it says the right things about us, because our credibility is key if our message is to be believed. And especially since we know our messages are callings from God, we have the responsibility to do that well. Now, I could also title this with or as why Sarah needed this training 6 years ago, because as much as I am an example in certain areas, I am also an example of what not to do in others. And self-deprecation aside, I think I prove what is actually something that we need to talk about just a little bit before we jump into this. And that's as you move through your journey as an author, whether you are 6 months into the journey, 6 years into the journey, 20 years into the journey, you will find that the things that God plants in the early season of your story, those things will start to snowball and come to fruition the longer you are walking this road. And much like in our household, I have 4 kids. When people are like, pay attention to what I'm saying, I'm like, there's 4 of you. The person that's going to get my attention is the one who is the loudest and who is right in my face. And that same metaphor can really be applied to this as well. The longer we walk this road, the more things that are going to be vying for our attention. And so really putting into practice this kind of 6 months to every 12 months audit of how our online tools are working, and are they effective, and do they still align with the message we believe God is calling us to, is really important. And for those of you early on in your journey, this will be a process that you will be able to use from now until eternity, essentially. So we hope it is helpful, and we hope it gives you what you need to be successful. The big idea or the reason we have all joined together on a Friday night is that you want to make sure that when people check you out online, so when they go to your website, when they look at your social media, when they even get an email from you after they subscribe to your blog, that you are showing what you are telling them in more in-person and or one-on-one experiences and communication of that message. What they see online should reinforce what they have heard from you, whether that is on your blog or whether that's on a podcast or whether that's within the confines of an in-person speaking engagement. What you say and what people see online, that has to align and match, or it's really not serving you. You have the tool, but you're not using it in a way that is going to be effective. It does you no good to identify your sweet spot and craft a message if the tools that you have to communicate that message aren't working the best for you. So before we jump into the ins and outs of the specific tools we'll cover tonight, I want to jump into something first, which is, why does this matter? Why does an online audit matter if you are going to steward your message well? And there's really 3 reasons that it does. The first reason is first impressions happen on your website, on your social media bios, with lead magnets, Facebook groups, email welcome sequences. These are all places where oftentimes people, they might hear your name, they might read your book, they might do or have some type of contact with you that leads them an online place. And if it leads them there, you want to make sure that you give a good impression. Case in point, I invite all of you to go to my website. And again, I'm telling on myself, but it actually says launching soon in 2024, even when, which is disturbing because number one, it is 2025, and number two, the book has been out over a year. So again, not the greatest first impression if somebody is like, hey, I'm going to check out Sarah's website and try to connect with her in a different and more meaningful way, and I don't even know what year it is. So again, those first impressions are vital. And so because those tools, those online tools, really garner a great deal of those first impressions, we want to make sure it's a good one and not a bad one. The second reason that this matters is, and let me make sure I move on. There we go. To the second reason, make sure it's up on our slide. If those spaces, any of the ones that we just mentioned, if any of those spaces are outdated, are unclear, or incomplete, then that reduces your audience, your follower, your visitor, your blog subscriber. That reduces their ability to trust you as somebody that they would want to spend either time with online or time buying a book or time going to hear you speak. So as much as it's nice to be up to date, it's also about a bigger, deeper issue, your credibility. And that is something that you do not want to sacrifice just because you get behind. Now, there is grace. There is always grace, especially coming off of Easter weekend. There is always grace, but you want to put forth your best effort to keep these things updated just to make sure that nothing gets in the way of your message. So The third reason that this type of audit and doing it on a regular basis matters is because, and we've talked about this so many different times, consistency builds confidence in you, the communicator, but it also builds connection. And online tools aren't worth a ding ding darn if they don't connect you with the people who need your message, the people who need your book, the people who are going to buy your book. So beyond just, well, what you say and what people see online, connecting those things is important. It's even more important to know why that matters and why, if you don't pay attention, it's going to undermine your ability to communicate well and also, beyond that, sell well once your book comes out. So now we can jump into the tools audit itself. And the very first online tool that we're going to dive into, we're going to ask 3 questions that are going to help you decide, all right, am I good? Or does it need some work? And what is that next step? Or what do I need to do next in order to make sure that that work happens? The first question is going to seem kind of silly, honestly, because it is, but it's not. Is it live? I cannot tell you how many people that I have walked through publication with, like from as a project manager, as a coach, as a friend. We know websites are super important, and we know and we value that here at Redemption Press. But I have seen far too many authors get bogged down in it being perfect before they launch, that they get to their book launch and they still don't have a website. It's better for it to be live and well, it's going to be imperfect. Everything's imperfect. So I think that's even theologically sound. But a live website that's incomplete is better than a website that doesn't exist. Those things can get fixed down the line, but if you don't have somewhere for people to connect and take next steps with you, it doesn't matter if it happens 2 years down the road. You've missed your opportunity to maximize using that tool to spread your message. So that's the first question you want to ask. The second question is, does the homepage clearly communicate who you are and what you offer? And even taking it a step further, what your message is. You want to make sure that those first impressions are really, really important. You want your visitor, your website visitor, to see first who you are. So a little bit about you, a smiling face or a big head, as I like to call it, so that you're recognizable. If they've seen you in person or they found you on social media, now they're going to your website. You want to be recognizable, but then you also want to make sure you highlight what the most important thing is that you want them to connect to. So whether that's a new book coming out or it's a blog you're trying to get people to subscribe to, you want to make sure that that's highlighted on that homepage. The third question you're going to want to ask is there a way to connect or take action? So an email opt-in or contact form, something that very clearly takes your website visitor to their next best step with you. That's something that we also promote in Journey, our partner that does an amazing job with our author websites. I'm going to give them a plug. But they impress that upon our authors almost from Jump Street, that even if there are certain pages of your website that maybe aren't 100% finished, getting that opt-in to get people to subscribe to either your blog or to be part of your email newsletter is key in making sure that that message that you've worked so hard to create and steward connects well with people via your website. So that's the first tool that we'll audit or we'll assess together tonight. The second tool is our social media, and more specifically, our social media bios and the links that are contained within those bios or on the welcome page that is housed by the particular platform. The first question that you're going to want to ask yourself is, do your bios reflect an updated message? You know, I think at one time my bio said something about chasing babies. I do have 4 babies, but they are not babies. They are now teenagers. And anybody who follows any of my content and connects with me any place knows that I don't have toddlers anymore. I have a 10-year-old, but the rest of them are stinky teenagers and young adults. And so I am not chasing after them well, actually, I mean, I guess sometimes I'm chasing after them, just I'm a lot slower and they're a lot faster. So I need to make sure that my bio reflects not only the stage of life I'm in, but the professional stage of life I'm in. Update on things like if I've written several books and that's not in my bio, I'm missing an opportunity to advertise and market the things and the resources I have available that people will hopefully then go visit my website and connect to. So you really want to make sure that those bios, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, they all have different word count restrictions, but making sure it is updated and it is accurate as to your message now. The second question you want to ask yourself is, do you have a link in bio tool that connects your social media follower or even visitor to your page or your profile, a way for them to get directly to your website? Because again, you want all these things working in synergy in your overall marketing picture, all your online tools working together. And part of that is that your social media drives people to your website. We talk about that a lot as well here at Redemption Press, that is really, really important to make sure is updated and exists at all. The third and final question is, are your profile photos up to date and consistent? So on the up to date point, if it is by Olin Mills or it is a glamour shot, it is time to update that photo, my friend. Even the most recent headshots that I have and I use across the board in marketing right now, they're about 1.5 years old. And much thanks to my 4 children. I have a lot more gray hair than I did even 1.5 years ago. So it's about time for me to consider updating my photo, just for the mere fact that the reason you have it is to keep yourself recognizable. And if it's you 20 years ago, or even sometimes 2 years ago, that kind of outdated image could potentially negatively impact your marketing efforts and spreading that message. The other thing I would say is that it needs to be consistent across all the different platforms. You need to use the same photo. And I will say that the prevailing school of thought is you want it, whether it's your public profile or your Facebook page, you want that to be the same across Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok. anything you're using social media wise needs to have that same picture, because again, it's about discoverability, and it makes the brain work too hard to be looking at different images to try to make it recognize who you are. Now, I will say the one caveat is this is not just because I don't do what I should be doing, but my personal profile on Facebook, I have left it open for that to be turned back to private based upon my family's needs. I do have 4 kids. They are not little anymore. They're blossoming into their own people and growing up, and they're telling their stories. And it's not my role, nor is it appropriate for me to invade their privacy. So I have left that option open for me. So a lot of times with my personal profile picture on Facebook, I'll sometimes make it an updated picture of my family, an updated picture of my kids, but again, kind of reserve the right to switch that out as I see fit. But I will tell you, when I was launching my book, when I was in that first 6 months phase, I did have the same profile picture in my personal profile and my author and speaker page. So that's something that you're going to have to consider, and a question that you're really going to have to be able to answer. The other thing I will say too, to those of you who are just beginning your journey, another benefit of doing this kind of audit and getting into that practice early on in your journey is you can establish a relationship with a photographer that can be an ongoing one, so that you can hopefully support one another. You support them and their business as photographers, and they can support you and your business as an author and a speaker. Those type of relationships are always invaluable, and something you definitely want to think about when you are considering updating your not only profile picture, but just headshots that you're going to use throughout your online tools as you market your book and your writing. The next tool that we're going to jump into is your lead magnet. And your lead magnet is something that is also extremely important because it is tied to building that email list. I'm going to sound kind of like a broken record, but that is something we have to prioritize if we want to work efficiently and effectively in communicating our message online. So the first question that you need to ask when evaluating your lead magnet is it still relevant? I know for me, and again, I'm telling on myself, I have I think it's called a wallpaper, like cell phone wallpaper, that honestly I created in a very quick moment because I knew I needed a lead magnet, but I was also launching a book. And let me say, this is also a place to give yourself grace. If you're jumping into this midstream and you're 2 weeks away from your launch and you need a lead magnet on the fly, then something that is quick and easy may trump something that really, really, really supports your message well. That's okay. But for someone like me who did that 6 years ago, and I have since been a part of numerous compilations, my branding, my professional, my personal journey has grown over the past 6 years. There are better lead magnets out there that will help sell my book because it would tap into that message specifically. A sweet little wallpaper for my phone that has a verse on it, well, very nice, and does the job, doesn't do my message justice. And so that would be something that I need to reconsider. And if you are doing something on the fly, it would be something that you would want to reconsider 6 months down the road so that you can make sure that lead magnet is working well for you. The second question that you want to ask yourself is, does my lead magnet align with my sweet spot? And does it also specifically to your audience? And does it align with your call to action? If it doesn't, again, you have a lead magnet, but it's not working for you. It's stuck in the toolbox. It's not actually being used. So you want to make sure, again, we didn't just come up with a sweet spot. We didn't just come up with a well-defined message for fun. It was for a purpose. And so we need to make sure these online tools align with that purpose. The third and final question here is going to be, and this, I said this now for the third time, this question probably should have come up at the top. Do you even have a lead magnet? Because if you don't, then you know exactly what your next step needs to be here. Just create the thing. No lead magnet versus a lead magnet. Even if it's not the greatest, it's better than no lead magnet at all. So kind of keep that in mind as you are evaluating what your next steps look like for your lead magnet. The fourth tool that we'll be covering in our audit is the email list and welcome sequence. So what email, because I know sometimes we throw out these words and people don't know what they mean, but a welcome sequence is just that automated series of emails that welcomes people once they've subscribed for your newsletter or is subscribed to your blog, wherever it is that you are directing them to. This is an automated and actually is going to be connected back to the questions you would want to ask yourself. So the first question is, again, not rocket science, but a very important question. Is your email list set up at all? If not, there's your next step. Okay, very, very simple, very easy. If your email list is set up, then you're going to ask yourself this question. Does it have a clear entry point and automated welcome email? Is there that pop-up that comes up when a visitor goes to your website? Is it a clear entry point? Says, I'm going to connect here, sign up for your newsletter. So then hopefully, because you do not want to be sending welcome emails by hand. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere in history that's done that. I don't know many people who have. But if you are going to do that, that may not be cumbersome when you have 5 people who have signed up for your newsletter or subscribed to your blog, but it is going to start to be problematic when those numbers rise. You are going to be carrying more things that are going to get in your face and need your attention. And so you need to be able to make sure from Jump Street that it is automated and it is working efficiently to connect your visitor to being a part of your email list and your welcome sequence as well. The third and final question that you're going to want to ask yourself here, and for some reason, this one's having a hard time. There we go. Are subscribers being nurtured, or are they just sitting here or there or anywhere for that matter? And again, I'm going to tell on myself a little bit. This is where I am stuck. I have an email list set up. I kind of have a clear entry point and I have an automated welcome. But where I am stinking it up is on that nurturing of the 500 people that are part of my newsletter and email list. I'm not doing a good job. And where we don't feel valued, we will just leave or ignore when we reach out. So, or someone else reaches out. Maybe I didn't say that incredibly clearly, but let me try it this way. When we are part of any type of group or community, we want to feel valued. We want to know that we belong. We want to know that we are a part of something, that it's not just that, oh, I just wanted your email so I could sell you my book in a couple of months. No, they need to feel important. And if you're not doing things that are filling that need, you're going to lose subscribers. You're going to lose people who want to be a part of your newsletter. They'll just leave. And so by even having or trying to create an email list, it's not serving you well. And it's not serving the people who need your message well. The final tool, online tool that we're going to be taking a look at today, I want to say this to you. Not everybody is going to have this, and that's okay. When I say community space, what I mean is, like, do you have a Facebook group? Do you have an online community that meets, that connects, that is meant to center people around either the Zoom table, or maybe it's just an online chat of some sort? Whatever place you have tried to develop community around in these on these online platforms, you need to make sure that, just like with the email list and the people who subscribe to your blog or your newsletter, you want to nurture those spaces as well, specifically because that's what it does in function. It's meant to draw people together. It's even in the name, for pity's sakes. So the first question that you would ask yourself here, if you have one, oops, let's move back here. There we go. If you have a community space, so if you don't, this can be a long-term goal that you can work on later. But if you do have one, ask yourself, number one, is your Facebook group or is your private community active and welcoming? It's wonderful if you have created a community of tens of thousands of people, but if you don't show up in that community on a regular basis, and if you don't have a spirit in that online community that this is vital, it is some place that people are welcome if they're looking for a certain type of contact or content, then people might visit, but they're not going to stay. And it floors me on some level. But I think it goes back to this idea of whatever is screaming at us the loudest gets our attention. Once we have tens of thousands of followers, it's really easy to take that for granted. It's really easy to just say, well, if I just show up every so once in a while, or if I maybe like somebody's comment every couple of weeks, that's enough. But if the sole purpose is to create community, you are not using the tool well if you do not actively post, actively engage, and you don't create some kind of community that is welcoming and seems vital and vibrant. The second question you would want to ask yourself is, Does it have a pinned post or welcome message? Now, I have something I think that is pinned in my Facebook group, or actually it's my Facebook author page. And again, it was a post that resonated well with my community, with the people that follow my page. But it was like 6 months ago, 6 to 8 months ago. So I need to reassess. And the other thing I need to do is create a welcome message and pin it to the top. Now, a lot of people, I think, who already maybe have had a specific type of online community for a long time, it's easy to forget that there needs to be something that welcomes them to the page. And if you've kind of jumped into this audit midstream, then you may not have something that welcomes pinned to the top of your page. But it's always okay to start midstream. You see these kind of posts all the time with people who are like, hey, I've noticed that I have a whole lot more people who are following me here. I would like to introduce myself and welcome you here. Here's some fun facts about me. Those are beautiful posts that can serve two purposes. Number one, it creates that welcoming environment that we talked about in that last question, but it also gives you something that you can pin up at the top. So right away, when people visit your page, visit your group, check you out, they know exactly what you're about, and they also feel welcome in a very specific way. So we've made it through the 5 tools, 5 type of online tools that we wanted to audit in order to make sure we know where we are with our sweet spot and with our message, that we are matching the tools that we have in our box to that message, to that sweet spot, and that we're doing it well. But there's still maybe some lingering questions where you're like, I still don't know where to start, because maybe you don't have a lot of those tools established. Or maybe you're just in a place where you're like, I just don't know which direction to go. This is the question that I want you to ask yourself. This is how you identify gaps that will inform those next steps if they aren't clear directly from the audit itself. So ask yourself this question if you're still stuck. Say, or ask, where do I feel stuck, or where do I feel unsure right now? And chances are everyone, I don't care if you are early on in this journey or you have moved past the 10-year mark, we all have a place that, number one, we just don't feel we have traction in that particular spot. And number two, we have fear over what it might look like to take that next step. Chances are it's the place you feel stuck. It's the place that makes you want to cry, or maybe not cry, maybe just raises your blood pressure a little bit. Typically, those are where your next steps lie. If you don't know where that gap is, if you don't know where that place is, invite God into it. I have a pretty good track record, and I'm sure most of the rest of you do as well. If I ask God to enter into a decision, He makes it clear for me. So if I say, here's where I'm feeling unstuck, or I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling unsure, I'm feeling afraid, help me discern where I need to go next. God is faithful, and He's going to do that for you. In addition to asking that question to kind of just jog the creative juices, if you will, or help point you in the right way, I also wanted to give you some example of gaps. I've probably pretty clearly identified a lot of gaps that I have in my own online toolkit or own online toolbox where I need to get rolling and moving quickly. Number one, yes, I have a lead magnet, but it's not one that's serving me well. And so if you don't have one, create one. If you do have one, but it's not serving you well, that's a definite gap, and that's something that needs to be addressed. The second example would be that a website, again, go look at my website. It needs a refresh. It's very clearly, I can do any number of things and I will be better off than where I am right now. The third type of gap, bio hasn't been updated in years, and that's a really pretty easy update. So if you're looking for something that's going to take not a lot of time, that's a great place to start too. It's a great gap to prioritize in your next steps. Last but not least, if there's no call to action in your email signature, that's something that's pretty easy to take care of. It's a good gap, but small gap. You can make a lot of progress with just a little bit of action. So I want everybody to take a deep breath. Yes, is this a lot? It is, but it's manageable. When we know what our sweet spot is, when we know what tools we have at our disposal, and we know the message that we feel God is asking us to communicate, creating synergy, creating action so we can use those online tools well, becomes achievable and becomes doable so that we can be a successful author, a successful speaker, a successful marketer, a successful communicator. So, if I leave you with nothing else, you don't need to do it all today. You don't. You simply need to name the gaps, find the places that you're wanting, so that then you can make a plan, even if it's just one baby step forward, it's forward. I cannot wait to join you next week at the coaching table with the lovely Tina Tote, and we will be doing this online audit in real time as she dives into setting her book up for success, The Art of Retirement. That's going to be on Wednesday at 1 o'clock Pacific time, and I cannot wait to have you join us. For those of you in the Book Marketing Academy, Pro Academy group, look for a PDF in the Facebook group to go along with this training, as well as with our coaching table live experience. Have an amazing weekend. I think we actually made it through this training this time, so I will say thank you, good night, and amen. Have a wonderful weekend. And for those of our friends who are at the conference, we hope you have a blessed time and come back with lots of amazing ideas to move your marketing needle in the green. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you next week. Take care, my friends.